Hi everyone and welcome to my studio. This is so exciting. My name is Gideon and I'm also known as Gideonslight, and I'm here to be your creatively fit coach. So grab your canvas, grab your paints and your art journal and join me in my studio as I show you how profound it can be in your life if you allow some space to be creative. So join me now as I show you how. Oh, this is so exciting. I just can't wait to begin to share with you guys. So I've just managed to unpack some of the goodies that I need to get my studio up and rolling. It really still needs a lot of attention. I need to paint it out. I need to get rid of this yellow. I have to get space for hanging canvases against the wall so that I can paint. And in general, just get really back into the vibe of having this amazing space in my new home that is allocated just for me. I'm so grateful because I know that every artist out there, especially if you are a beginner, don't necessarily have the grandeur and luxury of a studio, dedicated studio space. So with that in mind, I know where I've worked for years under the staircase in our previous home, and maybe even in small kitchen spaces in the past. So I do understand what it feels like. But if you work at it and you continue to develop your creative skill, you will see that you will need more and more space, and that is a great thing. So maybe one day you too can have an entire room dedicated to your art. That would be fantastic. So I wanted to just share this quote with you that I shared on my Instagram recently. This is a quote by Mary Lou Cook, and it just really nails where I am at the present moment in my art, in my creativity, and in the coaching arena where I am also active. So I want to read you this. Creativity is inventing, experimenting, growing, taking risks, breaking rules, making mistakes, and having fun. That totally sums it all up for me as far as what I define my creative practice to be all about. And I know that there's a lot of you out there that really wants to get involved in a creative practice, but there's just so many reasons, 101 or 1010 reasons why you can't begin today. So I was also in that space in my life, and I wanted to just come in this video and just share a little bit with you about the question, why is my creative practice so important to me? And hopefully you will resonate with some of the things I tell you, and or maybe it helps you to see it in a different and a new light. Now, I'm a self-taught artist, so my creative journey had its ups and downs. I've always been attracted to the arts. Being creative as a young kid was, I think, one of the main things that I looked forward to in every day. But being the last born and having such a large number of years between me and my older siblings, I don't think the adults around me always recognized how important creativity and color and texture and pattern was for me. So in a way that got sort of neglected as life happened in our journey. But I do believe today that this has all been part of my path as an artist, because it was always something that I was yearning to achieve and to attain. So it was always part of my journey, my goals, and stepping forward, reaching out to attain this holy grail of creativity and being an artist and creating. So on my journey in the few opportunities that life presented me. I really wanted to go study art, but that door unfortunately never opened. And this really brought me to an existential crisis in my life, because I had what I thought my parents wanted me to do. I had what I thought my peers and siblings wanted me to do. I had all the things that I thought life wanted me to do. I had all the things that I thought God expected me to do. And that made it really complex for me as a young adult to figure out what it is exactly that I want. What are the things that make me happy? And it wasn't until I think like 15 or so odd years ago, maybe 20, that I really started to struggle with this important question: what do I want? And it took a series of events, and some of them quite traumatic, for me to really begin to understand that I must stop looking for permission and approval from outside of myself. If I want to be an artist, or if I want to explore something else in life, I don't need permission, or I don't need to go find a friend that's also doing that in order sort of to have an ally to anchor myself with, to say that, they are enjoying it or they're doing it, I also want to do it, and that sort of makes it okay. So that was sort of the, mental, emotional, psychological journey that I've been on. So it was only until this recent awakening in my life, maybe not recent, it feels recent in my years, but in the last like 10 years or so, that I realized that creativity is actually a value of mine that needs a very high priority in my life in order for me to be emotionally and mentally and spiritually balanced. So I was so surprised and also perplexed and also very happy to figure this out, because number one, it gave me permission to really make the time and create the space for me in order to really explore my creativity and stop looking for permission from outside. But it also held me accountable, because the minute I recognized that I need to be creative on a daily basis, that sort of awakened a responsibility within me to give voice to this, to create space for it, and to allow it, to give it the time and the presence that it required in order for me to feel fulfilled and happy in my life. And as a trained modern applied psychologist, I also recognize that when we process these things through a method that works for us, in my case, it is creating art and having a creative practice, experimenting in the studio with paint and with canvas and with anything that is colorful and fluid. It really helps me to process it. I process my emotional state, my mental state, my psychological state so much better when I'm able to use my right brain and just shut my left brain down a little bit, because in my left brain sometimes it's a bit chaotic. It's very attention deficit disorder, it's very dyslexic, it's very frustrating for me sometimes, being more right brain orientated to function and to cope with what life demands from me. And sometimes it becomes a bit overwhelming. So in using my creative practice, I'm able to process my emotions, my mental pictures and states and thoughts and ideas and information and requests, and also spiritually to connect with my core, that still place within me where I am connected with my I am presence, spirit, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, the divine. And it's in those moments where I have serenity and wisdom comes in, and aha moments or ideas, a vision, an intuition is sparked, and I nurture it. And that really sustains me, because I feel that I plug into that source energy when I go into that single mindful state while I'm creating. And I'm then able to quiet the chatterbox in my mind, that monkey brain that's too busy. So it is really valuable for me to have my practice. So the second thing that helps me is my creative practice helps me to elevate my self-image, and it supports my self-worth. It reminds me that I am here and what I have to offer the world adds value to other people's lives. That is very important to me, because another value of mine is to work with people and to uplift and encourage and heal and guide wherever I can. Because I've had so many dark periods in my life, feeling alone, rejected, or abandoned, it really taught me to tune into my intuition. And I know that there's people out there that is experiencing dark times, that feels alone and doesn't know, that they have so much to bring. So I find that a creative practice helps to elevate that self-worth, that self-image, to begin to love yourself through loving your art, both the beautiful, the ugly, the failed and the successful. So art as a creation really helps me to process so many things. It is really for me, like I like to call it, a coaching zone. So number 3 on my list is that it is my meditation practice. It is the place where I pray. It is the place where I ask for what I want to manifest in the future. It is the place or the space where I practice self-care, where I take care of myself, because just creating is self-care for me. I call it my happy place. For me, it's an anecdote to disappointment and the hard things that life throw at you. So coming into my studio or just spending 5 minutes with even just one color on a piece of paper is able to elevate me and lift me into a much happier space, especially if my vibration is a little bit low. So I feel that an instant pick me up. And like I said, it's my personal coaching space. This is where I question myself. This is where I challenge myself to grow beyond what I could do yesterday in my attitude. And this is the last point. I feel that my creative practice brings me to a place or vibration of joy and happiness, resilience and gratitude. And this is the things that I take in my armor with me into life. Because in my practice I'm reminded every day how resilient I am, and because I experience that moment of joy and fulfillment and happiness, it really fills my cup, so to speak, so that when I am out there I'm able to serve others, because I know that my cup is overflowing. So with all that said, I've been rambling on quite a lot, but I feel that it is valuable. I wanted to share with you where I am at currently in my art journey. I'm exploring an unbelievable depth in my art, as you can see behind me. It's a whole new world for me that's opening since allowing myself really to dive much deeper into my creative practice. And one of the things that I did was to really break free from this mold of I have to produce art, I have to be on a canvas every day, otherwise I'm not practicing. So in my creative program that I've developed myself and I've put myself through, I've learned to listen to inspiration around me, to really get back into what is shapes and what medias can I play with, and what things do I avoid in my creative practice. What things do I think is taboo? What things do I think is not nice? Breaking the rules, like the quote said. And through that, I start to develop my own art ethos. It is really delving deeper into why I create what I create. What is the message that I'm trying to give? And also, what is my language, my visual language through which I'm trying to tell something to the world? And that ultimately is something that I think that any artist, both a beginner, self-taught, or one with a master's degree in fine art, is always looking for, is that raw, unique, immediate, present moment of creation that happens on a piece of paper or canvas, and it really brings out of this ether, this void, this incredible image or picture or emotion or experience onto a canvas for the rest of the world to see. maybe like from an alternative reality or some future event. So that is really exciting as a source of inspiration for me. So I would like to share this creative process with you. So I want to encourage you to join my creative group on Facebook. It is called The Creative Heart. Join us today, because coming up very soon I'm going to be starting sharing with you guys in some live event in a regular basis some of these practices and techniques that I've used to develop my own art, my own art ethos and art language. And I would like to inspire you to find your own way into your own art ethos. So both here on YouTube as well as on my Facebook group, I will be sharing with you guys some of these techniques and methods, and hopefully get you going in your creative practice as well.